how does it feel to know that you will be in prison for mortgage fraud?
Thank you for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless.
Today we're talking about Letitia James and how long her legal troubles could lead to severe financial consequences without her ever even seeing the inside of a jail cell. There's a legal process in fraud cases that most people don't hear about. It's called civil enhancements. These enhancements increase financial penalties based on factors like the amount of money involved, the level of deception, and whether the fraud was committed by someone in power. Well, Political Detox is not a law firm, but today we're going to break down these civil enhancements one by one to explain exactly how to apply Letitia James and what kind of fines she could be facing. The four major civil enhancements are loss amount enhancements. In other words, the more money in fraud, the bigger the fine. Number 2 is the abuse of public trust, which means fraud committed by a public official automatically carries higher penalties. Number 3 is long-term fraud patterns. If fraud happens over years or decades, the financial punishment multiplies. And on to the fourth one, sophisticated financial deception, meaning fraud isn't just stealing, it's covering tracks, altering records, and rerouting money to hide the crime. Now, these enhancements stack together, meaning if Letitia James is charged under all four, she just won't be facing one fine. She'll be looking at multiple layers of financial penalties. Now let's break it down step by step so I can show you the fines and tell you how much she may be facing. Now let's first talk about loss amount enhancement, which is the financial hit. See, Letitia James allegedly manipulated mortgage records, meaning cash was directly affected. The federal system adjusted penalties based on total loss, and in her case, we're talking about $155,000 to $240,000 in fraudulent transactions. Legal guidelines say this fraud amount qualifies for a 4 to 6 level sentencing increase, meaning fines start at $200,000 and can rise up to $600,000 even before any criminal trial. Courts calculate penalties beyond the fraud total, adding interest, restitution fees, and forced liquidation of assets. If this enhancement sticks, expect financial collapse before any conviction is even discussed. On to number 2, abuse of public trust, which carries a +2 level. Because of her position as Attorney General, and any higher position for that matter, makes it even worse. Letitia James wasn't just any fraud suspect, she was New York's Attorney General. She was responsible for upholding the law while she allegedly was breaking it. The legal impact for her? Well, federal guidelines automatically increase fines for fraud committed by public officials by adding $50,000 to $100,000 to penalties. How it works? Civil lawsuits become more aggressive against public figures because the fraud is seen as a betrayal of government integrity. If convicted under this enhancement, expect civil fines beyond standard fraud cases, making financial recovery nearly impossible. Now let's move on to the next one. This is number 3. Hope y'all with me. This penalty is called long-term fraud, which is also a +2 level, and for good reasons. Letitia James' alleged mortgage manipulation wasn't a one-time scheme. It stretched from 2001 to 2021, making it a structured financial deception over 2 decades. Legal impact? Long-term fraud triggers an extra +2 level increase, adding $60,000 to $120,000 in financial penalties. Now how that works? See, the courts just don't fine for individual fraud instances. They scale penalties based on how long the deception lasts, meaning fines can go beyond her fraud total. Now this enhancement ensures she just won't pay for the transaction themselves, but also for the years of financial damage they caused. Now I know I may be going a little fast for some of you, but you can always back up, fast forward, or better yet, drop a comment in the section if you have any further questions. Now on to number 4, and this is the kicker. Sophisticated financial deception, which also carries a +2 level, and this deals with how fraud may have been covered up. Letitia James allegedly altered records by hand, misclassified financial documents, and moved money through deceptive channels. This isn't basic fraud, this is structured deception, which pushes fines even higher. The legal impact is that the courts increase penalties for fraud involving document manipulation, adding $80,000 to $160,000 in additional fines. How it works? This enhancement prevents her from escaping with minimum fees. Structured deception is one of the few areas where civil penalties can exceed criminal sentencing recommendations. Now, if prosecuted under this enhancement, expect full financial audits, asset seizures, and government-imposed restitution fees. Total civil penalty estimates? Let's break that down. If all enhancements apply, Letitia James could face base fraud penalties from $150,000 to $240,000. Loss amount enhancement, $200,000 to $600,000. Abuse of public trust penalty, $50,000 to $100,000. Long-term fraud penalty, $60,000 to $120,000. Structured financial deception penalty, $80,000 to $160,000. Final civil penalty estimates, $545,000 to $1.2 million in fines before legal fees, asset recoveries, or restitution charges. Even if criminal charges never stick, these civil fines are designed to bankrupt, destabilize, and remove her from political power entirely. Will she actually face charges? Criminal convictions take time, but civil penalties hit immediately. The question is whether her political allies, specifically Kathy Hochul, will protect her. Hochul has the power to delay investigations, slow financial audits, and negotiate settlements before charges move forward. Expect legal stall tactics to push cases back by months or even years. If subpoenas hit, expect internal negotiations where fines are paid and criminal charges quietly disappear. What happens next? This is how political fraud works. Not just through bad transactions, but through legal loopholes that prevent full accountability. Will Letitia James see a courtroom? Maybe. Will Letitia James lose everything through civil penalties? Almost certainly. And this is why exposing the process matters, before cases get buried and fines get quietly paid off. Comment, subscribe, keep the discussion moving, because when civil penalties start hitting, it's only the beginning.